Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream. I'm Tisa Blackburn and I'm your acrylic diva. We are going to do a little flower painting today. Just checking sound here, making sure we can hear. Looks like we're okay. Hopefully. So hey everybody, welcome to the live put it in the chat where you're coming in from. And I will be monitoring the chat, so I'll answer questions too. Let me just mute that so I'm not hearing myself in an echo. All right, so I'm going to go to the overhead camera as soon as my phone stops falling over. I'm going to go to the overhead camera, and where did I put the overhead camera? Oh, there it is. So you should be able to see my canvas okay here. And I am going to do a flower painting today. I've got a little dried black paint on my palette here, but since it's dry, it's not going to interfere with anything. So I'm going to use fluids today, and they're all golden. As you know, I love the golden stuff. Quinacridone magenta. We are going to have some benzimidazolone yellow. I'll have a little phthalo blue also, and then lots of titanium white. So I'll put those out and we'll just do a little flower painting. And let's have our titanium white. Oops, put some titanium white out. We always need that. Even though we're only using these three colors, we still need some titanium white to make tints with. And these colors are in your description, the ones that I always use, the same three all the time. This is a Princeton 3/4 inch wash brush. I really like these because they are nice and soft. As long as you keep your brushes clean, you don't have to worry about acrylic buildup or anything. Just keep them clean, wash them really well after every time you use them, and then they will, work for you for a very long time. Now I am going to use a paint marker. This is a Posca paint marker. Let me get it primed here. I'm just going to use this to give myself a little bit of an underdrawing. I'm not going to use graphite because when you use graphite or pencil or charcoal, it gets into the paint and muddies up the paint a little bit. And so I prefer not to do that. So I'm just going to use a paint pen, a light color. So let's start with a vase here. Give ourselves a little vase there. Let's have a bit of a table behind it. Now, if you can't draw a straight line, like what I just did, you can always turn your canvas sideways. Use your pinky finger as a guide and draw your line that way. See that? Much straighter, right? Probably going downhill though. It looks like it's going downhill a little bit. Let's fix it. And you see all of these paint lines, all these paint marker lines are going to be painted over, so I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about doing the drawing exactly perfect. So we've got our vase there. I'm going to just guesstimate where we're going to have these blossoms. We're just guesstimating. Kind of helps to give yourself a little, a little idea of what your composition is going to be. You can always change it later. We've got our blossoms there, and we might have a leaf or two on the table. We'll see later. But you don't want your blossoms to be all the same size. Let's have some a little bit bigger. This one will be a little bit smaller. This one's a little bit smaller. And this one a little bit smaller, and then a couple of big ones back here, like so. Okay, that's it for our drawing. Let's block in our background. I'm going to go to my soft 3/4 inch brush, And I'm going to get some titanium white. And you know, it helps if you establish what kind of color scheme you're going to work with to begin with. So these blossoms are going to be in the pink and red range. My vase is going to be in the blue range. I'm going to have stripes on my table. So this background here should be kind of a dark greenish blue because I want it to contrast with the pink of these blossoms. So a dark greenish blue. I'm going to start with titanium white and phthalo and just block that in. And you'll notice that I am not mixing a homogenized paint over here. I'm mixing on the canvas. And that gives you a really nice painterly background. So our stems will come out over this background. We'll block in most of the background. Big loose paint strokes. Don't get fussy. A little bit of yellow here and there to green it up a little bit. You don't want it too green because you've got stems and things that are going to come in there. So you want to make sure that you keep that value pretty dark. And I'm working with pretty juicy paint. If you have questions, pop them in the chat and I'll try to answer those for you. And see, I'm just blocking in big shapes. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'll get a little white spot right there. A little bit more of that blue here, and I'm going to pick up just a little bit of this Quin Magenta, and I want to kind of darken things up a little bit. It'll go a little brown where the green is, but that's okay. We just want a nice dark value background. And these brushes are so great. Look at those cool brush strokes. You just get some amazing brush strokes. You can use it flat. You can use it on its side. There we go. That looks pretty good. That's nice and dark. Let's go a little bit darker down here. Okay, good. Now I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm going to just wipe my brush. I'm not putting it in the water because I don't want to bring any water to my paint. That'll make a big mess. You don't need water. You really don't. That's one of the myths about acrylic painting. People think they need water and you really don't. So I've got a blue brush and I want a kind of a neutral table here. So I'm going to go into the yellow. It's going to get me a green. Get a little of that Quin Magenta. Look at that. Yum. Kind of a nice warm brown. Let's just lay that down. And if you don't make enough, don't worry about it. Make a little more. It's going to be a little bit different, but that's okay. That's all right. Let's make that a little bit darker. A little bit blue, a little bit more blue. What you really want to do is just let the paint do its thing, you know. Give yourself some nice brush strokes there. Got ourselves a nice table going. Good, perfect. I'm going to wipe my brush again. And you know, I'm actually going to switch brushes now because I want to go into the vase here and I need something a little bit rounder. Where is my Princeton Aquarelle? I have a specific brush I like to use and I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Okay. You know, sometimes when you're not watching them, your brushes will take off on their own. Okay, so I want this to be kind of a turquoise, a light turquoise. So that's going to be a lot of titanium white, a little bit of phthalo. You don't need much phthalo, it's very strong. little green, a little yellow, just green it up slightly. Let's lay that down. That's a good color. Lay that down. Let's add a little white here. And I'm just going to go right into that wet paint that I had there. Pick up a little bit of it. And get the bottom of my vase. That little bit of brown there. Give us a little bit of shape to our vase. Actually, that's a little bit too much shape. Let's be a little more specific there. There we go. Pick up a little bit more of that teal and bring it in. There we go. Good. Now let's work on our flowers. I have my round brush. This is my Princeton, actually this is my Princeton Heritage. My number 12, the brush I want to use, has gone somewhere. I don't know where, but it's not here. So I'm using this is number 10, Princeton Heritage. I've got a little bit of green on my brush. And I'm going to go right into the Coin Magenta, little titanium white. And let's just start these blossoms here. Going back to the white. That round brush does a really good job for that. This one's going to be a little bit smaller. Let's have a little white there. Now, if you start to pick up some of that blue that's in the background, don't worry about it. Won't hurt anything. Let's have one going this way. We'll have a big one up here going off the page. Nice and juicy. That's what these round brushes are great for, these kind of paint strokes. They make really beautiful paint strokes. And we're going to need a blossom right here in front to kind of fill up this void that we've got here. But we'll get to that in a minute. Nice big one back here. Nice big juicy paint strokes. Okay, looking pretty good. We're pretty dry in the middle here already, so let's just go ahead and put that. I think we'll have a blossom here, maybe two. Let's try two. Let's see what that looks like. Let's have one here, like so. And maybe a smaller one right here, like so. There we go. That takes care of that little space that we've got there. Actually, we probably could use a little bud. Let's make this guy a little bit bigger. There we go. Yeah. That way we don't have quite as big a situation back there to cover. Okay. All right, we've been painting for 15 minutes. You can get a lot done in 15 minutes. What am I going to do now? Let's see. I've got pink on my brush. I'm going to go into my yellow and my white. Mix up a light yellow. Let's add a little tiny bit of phthalo to it. And look, you know, the phthalo is crazy strong. Look at that. I didn't want that much phthalo. You know, it's almost impossible to get the smallest amount of phthalo possible, you know. Okay, that's a little better. Let's see how we like that. Should we try this guy here and see? Yeah, that's gonna work. Let's see how that goes. You have to kind of make them wobbly because they are kind of flopping out of their vase. So you don't want them to look too straight. This one's going to be kind of wobbly, and let's have this one go all the way like that. There we go. That's a beginning. Now our vase looks to me on the camera that it's too light. So I am going to, I've got this green, I'm going to grab a little bit more of that phthalo. And ordinarily I wouldn't come back into this having already painted the flowers, but let's throw a little bit of this down here and see if it does the job. I think it's going to. We just wanted a little bit more contrast there. I know it's probably coming off on the camera that it was white. It was so light. So I'll just come in under these guys. I'll pick up a little bit of that flower color, but that's okay. There we go. Much better. Gives us a little bit more contrast. Yeah, still looks pretty light on the on my camera. It still looks pretty light, so I don't know if we're going to leave it that way or not. We'll see. Okay, let's go back and work on our flowers. I'm going to wash my brush. And questions? Anybody? Questions? If you have questions about anything I'm doing, colors, brushes, canvas, any of that kind of stuff, just put them in the chat box, okay? I have been an educational consultant for Golden Artist Colors for 20-something years. So if you have questions about acrylic paint, I probably know the answer. And if I don't know, I'll find somebody who does. All right, let's go back to the overhead. Okay. How about we put a little warmth in these flowers? I'm going to put some clean Hansa yellow out because I don't want any green in this. So there's a little yellow, a little white. I'm going to go into these guys, give them a little personality because they're just kind of blobs right now, you know, just kind of blobs. So let's give them a little personality. Mix up those colors right on the canvas. Much better. That Quin Magenta mixes beautifully with the Hansa. So pretty. And that underpainting that we did in the straight Hansa and titanium white gives us something to play off of, you know? So I'll grab a little Hansa, little yellow, little tiny bit of white, just to give it the feeling that it's got some dimension. It's not just flat color. And this guy's nice and big and juicy in the front. Oh, well, let's not paint that before we paint the one behind it. So if you're working in representational space, you want to work from back to front. So let's do this fellow. And you know what? He forgot his stem too. Need to give him a stem. Shortchanged him. No stem on you guys. Okay. A little bit of Quin Magenta there. I do love that stuff. And these round brushes make such pretty brush strokes. They make just gorgeous brush strokes. Nice and soft round brushes. This one's the Heritage, the one that's in your description. I've probably got the Aqua, the Princeton Aqua Elite in your description. That's the brush I usually use. That is the brush that apparently is on vacation today, an unauthorized vacation. So see how that Hansa just mixes in there and makes all those really pretty mixtures. And you just do it wet into wet, a la prima, just like the Impressionists painted. Exact same way, wet into wet. Even though we're using acrylic and they were using oil, it's the same basic idea. Okay, a couple more blossoms to go. And this is getting dry down here, so I can put some stripes down there in a minute. Little titanium white here and there. Okay, we've got a couple more blossoms over here to go. Let's make this one a little bit more orange. A little bit less quin magenta, a little bit more Hansa yellow. That'll get us a nice orange, a little bit more orange than the others, just to give us a little variation there. Okay, wipe my brush. It's getting a little sticky there. My final blossom here, let's do this one. Let's just get this really, really light. We don't have one that's really light. So let's do that. Okay, pretty good for our blossoms. All right, we're gonna do the stripes. Looks like I've dropped paint back here on my background. I'm gonna take my finger with a little dark something. There we go. Okay, for our stripes, we are going to use a flat brush, obviously. And where's my flat brush? Here it is. Is that big enough? Might not be big enough. Let's get a little bit bigger flat brush. Here's the one I want right here. Okay, this is another, actually this is a Royal Langnickel, and I think this is a 1/4 inch flat. Makes great stripes. Okie doke, stripes. Let's make some stripes here. I'm going to start with white and quin magenta. Actually, I'm going to turn my palette around so I have a little clean mixing spot here. And I'm just going to put some stripes. Just use the width of the paintbrush, and then you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to try to make it match or anything. We can come back and fill in those little areas there. Makes it super simple. Don't make it any harder than it needs to be, right? Okay. Get a small brush. Just get that little edge right there. And maybe this little edge right here. All right. Those are the only two you'll have to worry about because that's the only place we'll be under the vase. Alrighty, let's see. We've got pink. Let's go, since our brush is already pink, let's go purple now. I'm going to put one little tiny bit of phthalo out because that's all you're going to need. And let's make it a lighter value so it sits on top of that brown. Just go next to that. And you know, I'm going to show you guys this. Let me scoot that forward. If you see, I put my forearm down and then I put my other arm over it to make a bridge. And that helps me stabilize when I make a stripe like this. Helps me keep my arm steady, my hand steady. There's a little trick for you. And let's go right here. I'm going to run out of paint. Actually, we have to go up here, don't we? I'll fill that in with a small brush. Barely going to make it. Am I going to make it? Just barely. It's a little skimpy right here. Whoops. That's all right. There we go. Close enough. Close enough. That's my answer for everything. Close enough. Okay. We've been painting for 26 minutes and we're almost done. I'm trying to make these 30-minute paintings. Let's now, I think we need light green for our our stripes. Not that light. Let's get that phthalo. I'm telling you, that phthalo is crazy strong. Let's get a fair amount of that going. That's a little bit too green, too yellow. Let's have a little bit more phthalo in it. There we go. Just a little shift in color there. Okay, let's come right down next to that purple. Can we do it without smearing? Oh yeah, still got it. I still got it, you guys. I've only been doing this for a couple of years. I won't tell you how many years. Okay. My little stripes going here. I'm gonna run out of paint. Nope, let's see, we've got enough. That one was a little wobbly there. And, well, I've got this on my brush. I'm just gonna come back over here. We've got a couple of areas that we're gonna maybe put a paint pen in. I don't know what happened right there. My measurements are off, weren't they? Well, I think we'll leave the brown right there. Won't hurt anything. And we need a little purple. We have a little funny area that we need to fill in with our little brush. I rarely do this kind of stuff with little brushes, but c'est la vie. Okay, I think we have one tiny little area of yellow that also, when you're doing these stripes, if you have any areas that don't match up, they tend to be very noticeable. So there we go. We've got some odd little brown areas there, but I think we'll leave it like that. Okay, we did that in 29 minutes. 29 minutes. Let's do something. We've got a minute left. So let's do something to our vase there. Let's put a little something on our vase. We'll just take a paint pen. These things are wonderful. I love them. Let's have some decoration on our vase just to make it nice. Okay. Well, that's about it. I don't even know if you can see that on the camera. It's pretty light. Pretty light. All right, that is our 30-minute flower painting. What do you think of that? What do you guys think of that 30-minute flower painting? Questions for me, stick them in the chat. I'm gonna go to the split screen, or I think I was anyway. Where'd the split screen go? There it is. So you can see the painting, and if you have questions, I'm gonna put it over there in the frame. There you go. If you have questions, you can ask me questions. I can see the painting and you can see me. And you can ask me questions if you have them about paint or brushes or canvas. I think I don't see anything in the chat room just yet. Maybe let me reload this because it could be there. You know what? I'm going to go to the big computer and see if we have questions in the chat, because that's a much better place for me to see what's going on. So let's try that. There we go. Okay. All right, so it looks like we're good with chat. That's good, that's excellent. Oh, there's Messina. Oh, June, hi June. How are you? And there's Bettina. Hi. So it is good that I look in the computer for chat, because sometimes the iPad that I'm viewing on doesn't quite catch up. Yeah, hi. I make it look easy? Okay. Well, I've been doing this for a couple years, you guys. So, you know, I want to get back over here so I can see what you're seeing. And Hang on one second. There we go. Now I can see what you're seeing. Yeah, so, you know, I have been painting for a long time. Bettina says, can you zoom in on the flower details so you can see the texture? Yeah. Let's zoom in. Let's zoom in. Hold on, I'm hitting zoom. Let's go. I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. I'll go like that. How's that? And you know what? Let me go back to the overhead camera and take me. You don't need to see me. Yeah, so see there? That is some of your texture there. And the way that that happens, the thing that makes that work so well is just going wet into wet in that. I'm going to pull my brush out and just go wet into wet. You know, you can even see the ridges of wet paint there, but the paintbrush itself is what's doing that. It makes the paint strokes and, you know, let the paintbrush do the work for you. June, your painting makes me, oh, thank you. I'm glad. If I made somebody happy, that makes my day. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, the cool thing about these colors is that I'm going to go back out a little bit so you can see my palette. So see my palette here? I've really only got 3 colors on my palette, and I'm going to pull those up again. They're in your description, but these 3 colors and then titanium white, that's really all you need. You know, we made brown, purple, orange, all kinds of colors. We made this really pretty green here. And that really is all you need. Hi, Jacob. It's good to see you, my little friend. Do I have my good video voice on today? Excellent. Yeah, but I don't think that my music is playing for whatever reason. I had some real chill music, but for whatever reason, it's not. I don't think it's working. Who knows? But yeah, I think the thing that makes this work, that makes it, you know, easier to do, is that we're using that wet paint. It's alla prima painting, just like the Impressionists painted, and that is what really, really makes it work. I'll put that there so you guys can see it nice and big. And of course, the great thing about working with these paints, with the golden paints, for me anyway, is that they've got that really really strong pigment load. I mean, you saw the amount of phthalo blue. Look at the bottle of phthalo blue that I use. I use this tiny bottle of phthalo blue and a giant bottle of Quin Magenta, you know, because these pigments are so strong. You don't need a lot of them. I did that whole painting with, you know, a couple of tablespoons of paint, really. This is a 12 by 12 canvas. So you don't need a ton of paint. Ton of paint. Any more questions? I'm trying to keep these to about 30, 35 minutes, you know. And here's the thing. 30-minute paintings. Don't spend your entire lifetime, you know, doing a painting. Do a 30-minute painting, then do another 30-minute painting the next day, and so on. And you'll become a better painter, right? It really helps to do a lot of paintings. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm just looking at my chat box here. And Bettina, did you have any more questions about the flower texture? Because did you see how I just pulled that paint through the wet paint that was beneath it to make those flower textures? Yeah, just practice that. And a round brush, a good round brush. The Princeton brushes are great. The Princeton brush that's in your description is the Aqua Elite, and that's my favorite brush. And where did it go? It's a very small studio. I can't imagine where my brush went. It's hiding somewhere. So that's the scoop. Now, don't forget we have Saturday classes that are 90 minutes long. You just go over to acrylicdiva.com, and we have a couple of really fun projects coming up on Saturdays. And you can always grab me here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. There's also some free classes over on my website. So you got a lot of stuff to do. You got homework, okay? All right, everybody, have a great afternoon and a great weekend. It's coming up on the weekend. And have a good one, and I will see you next time. And remember what I always say, keep painting, okay? Take care. Hi, Bettina. Yes, let that paint pull down through the wet paint below, and you'll get that texture.